In the silence of forgotten pages, echoes of powerful words reverberate. Jesus, in addition to the Gospels, left messages that never reached the ears of the people. Hidden prophecies, censored by the Church, reveal a future that defies understanding. What did he predict about the apocalypse? What about the fate of the Church? These questions hang in the air, like shadows waiting to be illuminated. Let us imagine a world where the return of Christ does not happen as expected, where disturbing events shape our destiny. What is really hidden in the apocryphal texts? These revelations, ignored for centuries, could change the way we understand faith in humanity itself. As the story unfolds, fragments of these prophecies whisper unsettling truths. What does the Church fear we will know? Each of these questions opens a loop of curiosity and reflection. What else is buried beneath the weight of tradition and dogma? Prepare yourself for an eye-opening journey filled with logic-defying, soul-provoking mysteries. The answers may be closer than you think, waiting to be discovered. Hidden prophecies in apocryphal texts. Apocryphal texts, such as the Gospel of Thomas and the Gospel of Mary, are often forgotten in discussions about the teachings of Jesus. These documents are not part of the official New Testament, but they bring a wealth of ideas that challenge traditional narratives. For example, the Gospel of Thomas presents a series of sayings attributed to Jesus that emphasize self-knowledge and internal searching, in contrast to the more external emphasis found in the canonical Gospels. These non-canonical texts offer an alternative view of Jesus' message, often focusing on esoteric teachings. The idea that the kingdom of God is within each of us is one of the main lessons of the Gospel of Thomas. This can be disturbing to those who have been taught to see salvation as something that comes from outside, through rituals or intermediaries. Furthermore, the prophecies contained in these texts may differ significantly from predictions accepted in Christian traditions. Some of these prophecies speak of personal and spiritual transformation, rather than a dramatic final judgment. This raises questions about how different interpretations can shape people's faith and spirituality. Apocryphal texts also reveal the diversity of beliefs that existed in the first centuries of Christianity. This plurality of ideas can be seen as a reflection of the different communities that sought to understand Jesus' message in their own way. Therefore, analysis of these works can help us better understand the complexity of early Christian beliefs. Finally, exploring these hidden prophecies in apocryphal texts invites us to think critically about what it means to follow Jesus' message. Are we limiting our understanding to what is widely accepted, or is there a world of knowledge waiting to be discovered in the shadows of history? Concept of apocalypse in the teachings of Jesus. The concept of apocalypse in Jesus' teachings is vast and multifaceted, often reduced to a simple end-of-the-world narrative. However, some lesser-known interpretations talk about a radical transformation of humanity and the planet. For Jesus, the apocalypse is not just a cataclysmic event, but a process of renewal and purification. Jesus' apocalyptic visions also speak about humanity's changing consciousness. Rather than focusing solely on the final judgment, many of his messages suggest that transformation begins within each individual. This can be seen as an invitation to personal reflection and a call to action to live more consciously and ethically. These alternative interpretations challenge the traditional view that often focuses on images of destruction and punishment. The idea that the apocalypse could be an opportunity for rebirth and spiritual growth offers a more hopeful and less terrifying look at the future. This perspective can be especially relevant in times of crisis, when people search for meaning and purpose. Furthermore, Jesus' apocalyptic prophecies can also be seen as a warning about the current state of humanity. He invites us to consider the consequences of our actions and the responsibility we have for each other and the world. This message resonates strongly in contemporary spirituality, where many seek a deeper connection with nature and society. In short, understanding the apocalypse in Jesus' teachings as a process of transformation offers a richer and more complex vision than the simple end of times. This leads us to reflect on how we can prepare and contribute to this change, both on an individual and collective level. The return of Christ. Alternative interpretations. The return of Christ is a topic that generates heated discussions among Christians. Most traditions see this return as a glorious event, but there are alternative interpretations that bring to light more complex issues. Some believe that this return will not be a physical event, but rather a spiritual manifestation in human consciousness. These alternative views can be disturbing to many, as they challenge the traditional notion of a Christ who returns in glory to judge the living and the dead. Instead, some thinkers suggest that the return may manifest in the form of a new spiritual understanding, or a paradigm shift in the way humanity relates to the divine. These interpretations also raise questions about the relevance of Christian doctrine in an ever-changing world. If the return of Christ is interpreted as a spiritual awakening, it could lead to a re-evaluation of traditional practices and beliefs. This idea can be seen as an opportunity for a revival of faith, although it also brings resistance from sectors that prefer to maintain the classical notion of return. Furthermore, the discussion about Christ's return is often marked by controversy, especially when it comes to prophecies related to cataclysmic events. Some schools of thought see return as a call to action, encouraging people to prepare spiritually and commit to social justice. This approach can be an antidote to the fatalism that often accompanies apocalyptic predictions. Finally, the diversity of interpretations about the return of Christ points to the richness of the Christian tradition. As we reflect on these different visions, we are invited to consider how these ideas might be relevant in our lives today, contributing to a deeper understanding of what it means to be a follower of Christ in a changing world. Divulged. Censorship and control of information by the Church. The history of the early Church is marked by an intense debate about what should or should not be taught. Religious authorities often made decisions about which texts and prophecies could be disseminated. The idea was that controlled information would help maintain unity among the faithful and avoid interpretations that could cause division. Thus, certain doctrines and teachings that did not align with the official vision of the Church were often disregarded or even suppressed. These censorship actions were not just about what was said, but also about what was omitted. Apocryphal texts, such as the Gospel of Thomas, contain teachings that differ from accepted accounts. Many scholars believe that these writings were set aside because they challenged the authority of the Church and the way the Christian faith was being structured. Thus, censorship acted as a tool of control, shaping the narrative of Christianity around specific dogmas. Furthermore, censorship may have been a response to concerns about the interpretation of Jesus' messages. The diversity of opinions regarding his teaching could lead to confusion and, consequently, to a fragmentation of the Christian community. The Church, when deciding what was orthodox, sought to preserve the coherence of the faith, but this choice had its consequences, such as the exclusion of voices and perspectives that could enrich the understanding of Christianity. The formation of dogmas was also influenced by this control of information. The doctrines that prevailed were those that fit the desired narrative. This led to a worldview that favored the authority of the Church, to the detriment of a more pluralistic and open approach to dialogue. Thus, censorship not only shaped the doctrine, but also left deep marks on the spirituality of the faithful over the centuries. Finally, the impact of this control of information is still felt today. Many people seek to understand the origins of their faith and are faced with the absence of certain teachings. This search for a more authentic spirituality leads to a revival of interest in texts and ideas that have been silenced in the past, opening space for new interpretations and understandings of Jesus' message. Prophecies about the destiny of the Church and its role in humanity. The prophecies attributed to Jesus about the future of the Church are topics that generate much reflection. In many accounts, he makes predictions about how the Church would face crises and challenges throughout history. Some of these predictions suggest that the Church could undergo profound transformations, leading to a new form of spirituality that would adapt to the needs of humanity. This raises questions about the role the Church should play in times of crisis. One of the most discussed points is the possibility of the fall of the Church. Some prophecies speak of a time when faith would be tested and the true essence of Christianity would be revealed. This idea is not only alarming, it also provokes a question about the relevance of the Church in the contemporary world. If the Church is unable to adapt to social and spiritual changes, what will be its fate? On the other hand, many believe that the transformation of the Church could lead to a more significant role in society. In times of crisis, religious communities often become places of refuge and support. Jesus' prophecies may suggest that, instead of collapsing, the Church can re-emerge with a new mission, more aligned with the challenges of today's world. Furthermore, predictions about the future of the Church raise the question of its responsibility towards humanity. Many people expect the Church, as a representative of Jesus' message, to act as a beacon of hope and solidarity. The idea that the Church can play an active role in social, political, and environmental crises is an important reflection on its ongoing relevance. Finally, the way these prophecies are interpreted can influence contemporary spirituality. As more people search for meaning in their faith, predictions about the Church's fate offer an opportunity to re-examine not only the institution's history, but also the impact it can have in an ever-changing world. Impact of forgotten prophecies on contemporary spirituality. The rediscovery of forgotten prophecies attributed to Jesus could bring about a new wave of spirituality. Many people are searching for meaning in a world that seems increasingly chaotic. By accessing these hidden teachings, they can find new ways of understanding life, death, and the purpose of existence. This need for spiritual connection is a reflection of a society that, despite advancing in technology and science, often feels lost in matters of faith and morals. Furthermore, these prophecies can inspire contemporary religious movements. Groups seeking a more inclusive and loving approach to spirituality can use these teachings to support their beliefs. This can lead to a reframing of religious traditions, allowing new spiritual leaders to emerge, bringing with them a message that resonates with the concerns and aspirations of today's world. Thus, modern spirituality can become more plural and diverse, incorporating elements that were previously considered marginalized or unorthodox. The forgotten teachings of Jesus can also provoke a questioning of established doctrines. When individuals encounter these ideas, they may feel motivated to reevaluate the beliefs they have been given. This critical review can generate a movement toward authenticity, where people want to align their spiritual practices with their personal convictions. This paradigm shift can result in a spirituality that is less dogmatic and more centered on love, compassion, and the search for truth. Another important aspect is how these prophecies can offer comfort in times of crisis. Many seek answers in the midst of personal or collective tragedies, and the teachings that emerge from these traditions can serve as a balm for the soul. The idea that there is a greater purpose, even in times of pain, can help people find hope and resilience. Thus, rediscovering these messages can provide an emotional and spiritual foundation for those who feel lost. Ultimately, the influence of forgotten prophecies can extend beyond religious circles, impacting culture at large. The ideas contained in these prophecies can be incorporated into arts, literature, and even social debates. This can generate a new narrative that values spirituality as an essential component of the human experience. Therefore, the rediscovery of these hidden prophecies not only enriches contemporary spirituality, but also has the potential to shape the way society views and lives spirituality on a daily basis. And so, as we explore the forgotten prophecies of Jesus, we are confronted with questions that can change our view of faith and humanity. What really happened to the occult teachings? What truths are buried beneath centuries of dogma and censorship? It is intriguing to think that, amidst so many certainties, perhaps there are visions of a future that the Church preferred to remain silent. Imagine a world where Jesus' prophecies were not completely forgotten. What if the apocalypse is not an end, but a new beginning? How could these revelations impact the way we live today? What's more, what can we learn from these forgotten messages to shape our future? As we ponder these mysteries, I invite you to continue this journey of discovery. What other secrets are still hidden in the shadows of history? And what can the wisdom of Jesus teach us today? If you feel intrigued, leave your comment below. Let's unravel these mysteries together. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next chapters of this fascinating story. The truth is waiting to be revealed.